Hello everyone, welcome back to Starkey Farmstead. So I wanted to talk to you about something that I find very, very interesting. First off, have you guys noticed how raw food, especially raw milk, is a conservative talking point now? I remember growing up, folks, and people who wanted to drink raw milk and garden sustainably, as well as eat a healthier, pesticide, non-GMO diet, those people were really liberals. They were hippies. They were the people on the fringe of society. But now all of a sudden, it's a talking point all across the United States, but by Republicans, not Democrats. Makes you think, doesn't it, how things are changing so rapidly in this country. Now, personally, I think it is because more hippies, more fringe people align politically with the Republican Party than they do with the Democrat Party, but they've always voted Democrat. I also think the Republican Party is leaving out a huge voting group by not wanting to see any change in environmental conditions, not wanting to really deep dive and discuss how corporations, especially large ones, are ruining America. I think if we had more people running for office in a political party for the Republicans that would sit down with scientists and discuss how green energy, some of it is good. They would discuss sustainable farming techniques and the push for more people to have the right to grow and sell and raise and sell all natural raw foods. I think you would see that our party would grow rather than shrink. Now that's just me, but I do want to talk to you today about this war against raw milk. Now, Iowa is surprising. They have flipped that state completely Republican, and in doing so, allowed the state to sell on the farm and in stores raw milk. But Montana, Alaska, guys, there's so many states getting into this fight. Louisiana happens to be one of them, and I'm hoping and praying the Coalition for Raw Milk in my state will reach out to me so I can interview them. Because there's a reason raw milk is good for you folks. Now I'm going to give you my theory as to why raw milk was banned to begin with. Somewhere around 1920, a lot of people were moving from the rural areas into the urban areas and into the cities. In doing so, they still wanted to eat the diet they've always eaten. About that time, Big Ag was becoming a thing, okay? So, what they did was they began to bring cows into the cities, the urban areas, and feed them the leftover waste from breweries, right? Like making beer and that kind of stuff. That's not exactly what cattle are supposed to eat. Animals are not supposed to be in CAFO systems. It's extremely unhealthy. The milk coming from those cows was toxic, and children were dying like ridiculous. New York in 1 year is how many infants died from raw milk. So they had to come out with a way to make the milk safer. I guess it never dawned on them, rather than say nobody can drink raw milk in the entire United States, how about we look at the fact that CAFO systems are not sustainable or humane? How about saying, instead of doping these cows up, medicating them to the gills, and then having to highly pasteurize the milk to make it safe because it's so toxic to drink, how about we fix that? You see the problem? I knew you would, because you're smart. Now folks, you know we're going back to Maui. If you would like to send a donation of $1 or more, I will hook you up with 6 months of our newsletter twice a month for free. Just make sure, have your email address with your donation. It's going to be linked at the top in comments. Scroll up, So the very first comment is going to be me. So it was cheaper to keep the systems in place and then make it illegal for anybody else to sell raw milk. That's beginning to change, folks. However, you still have states that are coming after the farmers on their own property. Listen to this.
Cow share program. And in a cow share, you are actually buying an investment in the animal. Therefore, you have certain rights to that animal. We have, in the past, used cow shares for dairy products ourselves. And, you know, depending on how that cow share is set up from an investor standpoint, we choose, you know, who to renew that with, or if we want to go somewhere else. Creek Farm, from what I can tell, sounds like a pretty good farm. And they have this cow share program where they have people who own the dairy cows with them. And as part of that ownership, they get a regular supply of dairy products from that cow. Now, it is raw. They own a cow. They're getting a raw product. In this particular farm, they have a herd share. So you buy into the entire herd, not just the cow. On Friday the 24th, Memorial Day weekend, they had an unexpected visit from MDARD, the Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development. They were in the middle of chores and found it to be rather bizarre and rude. So what happened was they saw them pulling up. They were hurrying to finish what they were doing to get out and greet these people. They pulled up in their vehicle. They sprayed it down with a chemical. Now this is kind of odd that they would just sit there and spray down their chemical, and then they drove past them and drove up to the house. They've got these chemicals all the way up their drive. There's no telling if they're going to wash out and get into their soil or what was in them. Okay, and that's the farmer's first concern, and it should be every farmer's concern. Biosecurity is a very big risk. Government official come onto your property spraying some sort of chemical on their car and driving onto your property with that chemical, obviously it's going to raise some eyebrows for that farmer. Like, what's going on here? You're breaching my right to biosecurity and my obligation to my herd share. Technically speaking, you know, with a herd share, this department has no right of oversight. In a normal situation, okay, in a normal year, they have no right to...
I want you to notice that when raw milk was the liberals' baby, it was allowed to be in the Times, in the New York Post. But when it became the Colin Card of conservatives, there's no coverage. So, again, let's review. Cows in urban cities where they don't belong, cooped up in a CAFO system, which we all agree is wrong, producing toxic milk that must be pasteurized to be safe. You can't even compare that to a cow or a goat being raised properly on a smallish homestead or farm where they are cared for and loved on. It's not even the same two things, folks. But like I said earlier in the video, I really believe that the Republican Party would reach out to people who believe in this raw food movement, we would see our numbers grow. We're going to have to reach across the divide because we're not that different. I say that all the time. When I get on here, I'm not that different from you. I want the same thing you want for your kids. I want my children to have a chance in America. I want them to have a good job. I want them to follow their dreams. I want them to be productive and safe. I want them to know what it is to have real food to eat. And I want them to have freedom. Telling people they can eat oysters, which kills hundreds of people a year, but they can't have raw milk, is absolutely asinine. And it is because Big Ag decided they didn't want people to have milk. Not real milk, not life-saving milk, not milk that would heal your body. They didn't want you to have that. So here's the difference, folks. I still think the CDC has a purpose, right? They have a purpose. I just don't think, as a free American, I should be told that I cannot purchase raw milk if I so choose to. Yet, I can go buy cigarettes, I can go buy alcohol, I can drink all the Coke and eat all the Twinkies that I want, but I can't drink raw milk. Really? Watch this.
Or like Sprouts or, something like that.
I should try that.
I think they have it at Erewhon. Maybe Whole Foods has it. It's really tricky because it's not even legal in some places to have whole milk. In fact, people have been arrested and just locked up for having whole milk. Yes. Google that because it's pretty preposterous. When you think about how easy it is to buy whiskey, right? And then think about people buying whole milk. That whole milk is apparently for some people. I mean, it might have something to do with skirting FDA regulations and things along those lines. It gets very complicated for sure. And then there's the reason for homogenization and pasteurization is obviously health, right? We're trying to protect people, and also it's shelf life. It stays on the shelf longer. Mm-hmm. But I've definitely bought it.
Yeah, there's a small, what does it call it? A small food group, Raw Food Club. They were raided in 2011 for sharing raw milk or something.
The latest raw milk raid, an attack on food freedom? Federal agents organize a sting operation against a tiny raw milk buying club and ignore more serious food safety concerns. Yeah, like Twinkies. I mean, how hard is it? Look, you can, I'm sure, get...
So hit that like button, drop me a comment, tell me what you think. Even if you believe that pasteurization with milk is the only safe way to drink milk, do you think it is your right to tell someone who wants to drink raw milk that they can't? They can eat raw oysters, they can eat cookie dough, they can buy cigarettes, drink alcohol, not wear a seatbelt when they drive, and not wear a helmet when they ride bicycles. Folks, at some point, freedom means allowing people to do stupid stuff that ends up killing them. And if that's drinking milk, count me in.
Damaging to the milk. It's forced at very high pressures through teeny tiny little holes, and it breaks down the fat structure of the milk.
Have a blessed day, guys.
So that it doesn't separate like real milk should. And